My cousin's wife told me it's time you find your own place, then called me a moocher living in my uncle's house. So I calmly replied, this is my place. If anyone needs to find somewhere else to live, it isn't me. I'm 28, male, a senior animator for a mid-tier gaming studio, pulling in about $72,000 plus project bonuses. I work remotely, drive a paid-off car, and generally keep my head down and mind my own business. My world got turned upside down when I was 20. Parents passed away in a head-on collision on the highway. It was a drunk driver. Mom went on impact. Dad lasted 3 days in the ICU before his brain swelling got too bad. I was a junior at State University studying digital arts and living off energy drinks and pizza rolls when I got the call that changed everything. The drunk driver, 22 years old, third DUI, driving on a suspended license, got 8 years, served 4 with good behavior. I know because I tracked his release date and made sure he knew I was watching, but that's a different story. My uncle Victor, Dad's younger brother, and his wife Carmen became my lifeline. During those dark months, they were at the hospital every single day during Dad's 3-day stay, rotating 12-hour shifts, so my parents were never alone. Victor would sit with Dad during the day, reading him sports scores and work updates like he could still hear. Carmen would brush Mom's hair and paint her nails, talking about family gossip and TV shows. When the doctors finally said there was no brain activity left and it was time to make the decision, Victor held my hand while I signed the papers. I was 20 years old, orphaned, and had no idea what the hell I was supposed to do next. After the funeral, which Victor paid for up front because insurance takes forever, the estate settled at roughly $950,000. Life insurance policies, Dad's 401k, investment accounts, the sale of their house, and Dad's collection of vintage motorcycles that I couldn't bear to keep. After paying off their debts and funeral costs, I had about $850,000 left. Not bad for a college kid who had been living on $50 a week grocery budgets. But here's the thing, money doesn't fix grief, and it sure as hell doesn't teach you how to be an adult overnight. I was sitting in a big empty rental house, eating takeout for every meal, skipping classes, and basically falling apart. Victor noticed and made a suggestion that seemed reasonable at the time. Why don't you move in with us for a while? Carmen's always cooking for an army anyway, and you shouldn't be alone right now, just until you finish school and figure out your next move. My financial advisor suggested real estate investment, so I found this place for bedrooms, 3-car garage, 2 acres in a good neighborhood, perfect for a family. I bought the house outright for $420,000 and made Uncle Victor an offer. They could live there with me. I'd handle property taxes, utilities, and maintenance, and they'd help me navigate adult life while I finished college and started my career. Uncle Victor became the father figure I desperately needed, teaching me about investments, car maintenance, and how to grill a proper steak. Aunt Carmen made sure I ate vegetables, did my laundry properly, and remembered important dates. Their son Jacob was like the brother I'd always wanted, 24 years old to my 28, but we grew up more like twins than cousins. We'd game together, work on cars in the garage, double date occasionally. He was studying accounting at the local community college while working part-time at a tax preparation service, grinding his way toward a CPA license. It was the perfect setup. Family dinner every Sunday, holidays that actually felt like holidays, and a support system that helped me process my parents' death without falling into depression or addiction. For 5 years, we were like a real-life sitcom family. Then Jacob met Brianna Walsh at some accounting conference. Oh, sweet Brianna. 26 years old, blonde hair, fake nails, drives a leased BMW 3 Series that her daddy co-signed for, claims to work as a marketing coordinator, which sounds impressive until you realize she's Actually a receptionist making $36,000. Answering phones and updating social media for a small local firm. But in her mind, she's basically the female version of Don Draper. From day one, this woman had an energy that set my teeth on edge, not just entitled like the world owed her something because she had a business degree from a third-tier state school and wore and tailor suits to her receptionist job. The first time Jacob brought her to Sunday dinner, she spent the entire meal talking about her career trajectory and how she was building her personal brand. She took pictures of our food for her Instagram, complained that the drink wasn't organic and suggested we needed to update the aesthetic of the dining room because it looked very 2010. Carmen, being the saint she is, just smiled and nodded. Victor rolled his eyes but kept quiet. I bit my tongue because Jacob looked happier than I'd seen him in years, but the red flags were there from the beginning. She'd walk into the house without knocking, treat Carmen like hired help. Carmen, could you grab me a sparkling water? And constantly made subtle digs about the house being outdated or not very modern, always with this fake sweet smile. The worst part was watching how she manipulated Jacob. She'd pout when he wanted to hang out with me, guilt trip him about not spending enough money on her, and constantly compare him to her friends' boyfriends who made more money or drove nicer cars. But Jacob was whipped beyond belief, so he took it all with a smile and started working longer hours to afford her lifestyle expectations. I should have said something then, but I kept my mouth shut and told myself it wasn't my business. That was my first mistake. The day everything went to hell started out as one of the best days of my life. I got the promotion email at 10:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Senior animator, $72,000 base salary, plus project bonuses, full remote work, with optional quarterly travel. I'd been grinding for this position for 18 months, competing against candidates from Pixar and Disney Studios. Landing, it felt like winning the freaking lottery. I called Uncle Victor, immediately, barely able to contain my excitement. I got it. Senior animator. Big raise, remote work. The man actually pooped into the phone. Victor's not the emotional type. He considers it a celebration when he opens a second drink during Sunday football. But he was genuinely proud, and it came through in his voice. That's my boy, Carmen. Get in here. Joseph got the promotion. I could hear Aunt Carmen shrieking with joy in the background. Then her voice came on speaker. We're having a celebration dinner tonight. Your favorite ribs, and I'm making that chocolate cake you love. You don't have to go through all that trouble. Victor cut me off. This is huge. I'm calling Jacob right now and telling him to get his ass home early. We're doing this right. The fact that Victor was willing to interrupt Jacob's work schedule showed how big a deal this was. Jacob had been pulling 60 to 70-hour weeks at his accounting firm for the past 8 months, trying to make partner before his 30th birthday. The guy was so stressed that he'd started getting stress-related migraines and had basically stopped coming to family dinners. But somehow Victor worked his magic. By 6 p.m., Jacob was walking through the front door with a bottle and flowers for Carmen, acting more like his old self than I'd seen him in months. The whole house had this electric energy. Carmen had gone full Martha Stewart mode, good china cloth, napkins, candles, the works. She'd made my favorite meal. Victor had splurged on a case of craft drink from that expensive brewery downtown. Even Brianna seemed to be in a good mood. She was actually participating in conversations instead of scrolling through her phone, asking detailed questions about my new company, the remote work setup, whether I'd be getting stock options. So you'll basically be working from home permanently? She asked. That's so convenient. No commute, no office. Politics, complete flexibility, pretty much. I might have to travel to the headquarters in Austin once a quarter, but otherwise I can work from anywhere with decent internet. It must be nice to have that kind of freedom, she said with what seemed like genuine enthusiasm. Jacob's been talking about trying to find something with more work-life balance. We spent the next hour catching up like the old days, Victor telling embarrassing stories about my teenage years, Carmen showing off pictures from her garden club, Jacob actually laughing at my jokes. For the first time in months, it felt like we were a complete family again. I should have known it was too good to last. We were just finishing the main course when Brianna suddenly stopped eating. She set her fork down, placed her hands flat on the table, and got this weird, intense look on her face. The conversation gradually died as everyone noticed her strange behavior. I have something to tell everyone, she announced, her voice taking on this theatrical quality that made my skin crawl. The table went completely silent. Victor set down his drink. Carmen stopped, clearing plates. Jacob looked confused, like he'd missed part of a conversation. Brianna took a deep breath, looked around the table to make sure she had everyone's complete attention, then smiled the biggest, most artificial smile I'd ever seen. I'm pregnant. The reaction was instantaneous and explosive. Victor jumped up from his chair so fast. Carmen burst into happy tears, rushing around the table to hug Brianna. Jacob went through about 6 different facial expressions in 3 seconds. Shock, confusion, disbelief, and finally pure joy. Are you serious? He kept asking, staring at Brianna's stomach. Are you really serious? 8 weeks. Brianna announced proudly. I wanted to wait until I was sure before telling anyone. I was genuinely happy for them. Jacob and Brianna had been trying for almost 2 years, and I knew the fertility struggles had been weighing on Jacob heavily. He confided in me about the doctor visits, the tests, the mounting pressure. This was the best possible news. My mind immediately started racing with plans. We could convert the spare room next to their bedroom into a nursery. Maybe finish the basement as a playroom. I was already mentally shopping for baby gifts and thinking about what kind of uncle I wanted to be. That's when Brianna's expression shifted. Subtly, she looked directly at me, and for just a moment her mask slipped completely. Actually, she said, her voice dropping to a more serious tone, there's something else we need to discuss as a family. The celebration energy in the room flickered. Victor sat back down slowly. Carmen stopped crying. Jacob looked confused again. She was about to drop a bomb, and she just made sure the blast would hit maximum impact. I think Joseph needs to find his own place. He's got a job now. Brianna continues, looking directly at me with this calculating expression. A good paying job, and with the baby coming, it's going to be inappropriate having a single man in the house. There won't be any issues, I say, trying to keep things cool. When the baby comes, I can help out. I could even finish the basement if you guys want more space. Brianna gives me this look that could freeze hell over. When I have this baby, I'll be breastfeeding around the clock. I can't be worrying about some guy seeing me half-dressed at 3 a.m. Some guy. 8 years of family dinners, and I'm some guy, but she's not done. Joseph, I'm not trying to be harsh, but you've been living here since college. Don't you think it's time you grew up and moved out? She tilts her head like she's talking to a slow child. Your uncle and Anne have been supporting you for years. They deserve to have their house back. Their house. That's when I knew this girl had completely lost her mind. Young men these days have no ambition. She continues, really hitting her stride now. Maybe it's time you learned some self-respect and started acting like an adult instead of mooching off family. Uncle Victor's face goes dark red. That's enough. You're way out of line. But Jacob, freaking Jacob, jumps to defend his pregnant princess. Dad, calm down. She's emotional because she's pregnant. Besides, she's not entirely wrong. Uncle Victor completely loses his cool, starts yelling at Jacob about disrespect and ingratitude. Jacob fires back about setting boundaries. The whole dinner degenerates into a screaming match while I sit there, watching my family implode over dessert. And Brianna, she just sits there with this smug little smile like she just solved everyone's problems. Time to educate this person about reality. Here's what really pissed me off. Brianna acting like I was some deadbeat loser who'd been mooching off Uncle Victor's generosity for 8 years, like they'd been saints for putting up with me out of the goodness of their hearts. The truth, I owned the freaking house. When my parents died, I inherited $950,000. After paying off their debts and funeral costs, I had about $850,000 left. I bought the house outright for $420,000 and made Uncle Victor an offer. They could live there with me. I'd handle property taxes, utilities, and maintenance every month for 8 years. I've been paying the property taxes, homeowners insurance, utilities, and repairs. The new roof 2 years ago, me. The kitchen remodel, Brianna specifically requested, with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. Also me, the HVAC system that died last summer. Yep, me again. Jacob knew some of this, but not the full picture. Uncle Victor and I agreed to keep the ownership details quiet because we didn't want weird family dynamics. Guess that backfired spectacularly. So there I am listening to Brianna lecture me about mooching and self-respect while sitting in a house I own, eating food I paid for, listening to her plan my eviction from my own property. The audacity was breathtaking. I look around the table. Time to drop some reality on Princess entitled Brianna, Jacob. My voice comes out way calmer than I feel. You're both wrong about a few things. Brianna rolls her eyes like I'm about to make excuses. Oh, here we go. This house is mine. She actually laughs, like throws her head back and cackles. What are you talking about? Your uncle and aunt have lived here for years because I bought this house and asked them to live here with me. The laughter dies. Jacob's face goes through about 6 different expressions. Wait, what, Dad? Is he serious? Uncle? Victor nods, looking like he wants to disappear. Joseph bought the house after his parents died, so we could all live together as a family. Brianna's face goes white, then red, then white again. For once in her life, she's speechless. That's impossible, she finally manages. Jacob, your parents have been here since before we met because I asked them to move in with me after I bought the place. I explained the deed is in my name, every utility bill, every repair, every upgrade. For the past 8 years, all me. The silence stretches forever. You can practically hear Brianna's brain short-circuiting as she tries to process this information. So you're saying this entire house belongs to you? She asks. The house, the property, the cars in the garage, everything except your personal belongings. Yes. She tries to rally, but her voice is shaking now. Well, even if that's true, Jacob and I have been living here for 3 years. We have tenant rights. You have the right to live here as long as I allow it. I cut her off, which after nights little performance about me being inappropriate and needing to grow up, I'm seriously reconsidering. Brianna's face twists with rage and humiliation. She knows she screwed up monumentally, but she's too proud to back down. You wouldn't dare, she hisses. I'm pregnant with your nephew. I lean back in my chair and smile. Try me. She stares at me for a long moment, probably trying to figure out if I'm bluffing. Then she stands up, gives me a look that could melt steel, and storms upstairs. Without another word, Jacob follows her, still looking like someone hit him with a brick. I should have known Brianna would do something incredibly stupid. I just didn't expect her to do it the very next day. I woke up the next morning still pissed, but determined to handle this like an adult. Maybe we could sit down, clear the air, work out some boundaries. Brianna was pregnant and emotional. Jacob was caught between his wife and his family. Surely we could find a middle ground. I spent my first day at the new position, setting up my home office equipment and meeting the remote team via video calls. Kept my phone on silent because I didn't want family drama interrupting my first impression. Big mistake. When I got home around 7 o'clock p.m. after grabbing celebratory drinks with some local coworkers, I knew something was wrong immediately. The house was dead quiet. No TV, no music, no sounds of life, just silence. I walked up to the front door and tried my key. It wouldn't turn. I tried again, thinking maybe I was just tired or had the wrong key. Nope. The key wouldn't even slide into the lock properly. That's when it hit me. This POS changed. The freaking locks. I walked around to the back door, the side entrance, even tried the basement. Every single lock had been changed while I was gone. Then I see movement upstairs. Brianna appears at the bedroom window and she's got this massive grin on her face. She opens the window and leans out like some kind of evil Disney princess. Looking for something? She calls down all fake innocent. Open the door. Brianna, I don't think so. This is our house now. You said yourself last night that you were reconsidering letting us live here. Well, I reconsidered too. We're staying. You're leaving. The absolute audacity. She changed the locks on my house and was acting like she'd outsmarted me. Brianna, you have exactly 10 seconds to open this door before I call the police. Go ahead, she shouts back. Call them. I'm 8 weeks pregnant, and you're trying to make me homeless. Let's see who they believe when I tell them you've been inappropriate with me. She actually threatened to lie about me being inappropriate. This pregnant psychopath was ready to destroy my life over a house that wasn't even hers. She slams the window shut and disappears, probably thinking she just pulled off the heist of a century. Poor stupid Brianna had no idea she'd just declared war on the wrong guy. I stood in my driveway for exactly 30 seconds, letting the rage wash over me. The kind of calm that should have scared her if she had 2 brain cells to rub together. First, call the police. Explain the situation professionally. Someone had illegally changed locks on my property and was refusing entry. The dispatcher asked for proof of ownership. I rattled off the property address, my SSN, and told her everything was verifiable through county records. We'll have units there within the hour, sir. Second call, my lawyer left a detailed voicemail about illegal lockout and potential false accusations. Third call, my locksmith buddy Randy, who owed me a favor from when I designed his company logo for free. Fourth call, Uncle Victor, where are you right now? Just leaving work. Why? Your daughter-in-law changed the locks on my house and threatened to lie to the police about me being inappropriate with her. Long pause. She did what? You heard me. I've got cops coming. This is about to get messy. Jesus Christ, I'll try to reach Jacob. Don't bother. He chose his side last night. 2 police cruisers showed up 45 minutes later. Both officers were veterans, probably dealt with this kind of domestic crap before. I showed them my ID, pulled up the property records on my phone, and handed over a printed copy of the deed I kept in my truck. Sir, everything checks out. Let's go. Resolve this. They walked up to the front door and knocked. Brianna took her sweet time answering, probably hoping they'd get tired and leave. When she finally opened up, her whole demeanor changed. What's going on? She asked, trying to sound confused and vulnerable. Ma'am, we verified that this property belongs to the complainant. You've changed the locks without the owner's permission, which constitutes illegal lockout under state law. But I'm pregnant, she protested. He's been inappropriate with me. I don't feel safe. Ma'am, do you have any evidence of inappropriate behavior? Any reports filed? Any witnesses? Her face went red. Well, no. But then you need to allow the property owner access to his home immediately, or you'll be arrested for a criminal trespass and illegal lockout. The second officer stepped forward. You have 2 minutes to gather your essential belongings and vacate the premises. The property owner will determine if and when you can return. Her face went through every emotion possible: rage, panic, desperation, pure hatred. She knew she was screwed. This isn't over. She hissed at me as she grabbed her purse and keys. I looked her dead in the eye and smiled. Actually, it's just beginning. The next 24 hours were crucial. While Brianna was probably crying to Jacob about how mean I'd been, I was doing what I do best: gathering intelligence and building a case. Being an animator meant I knew my way around digital platforms and social media, and I had access to research databases that most people don't even know exist. Time to see who Brianna Walsh really was. What I found was even worse than I'd expected. This woman was a walking financial disaster wrapped in designer clothes and fake confidence. Financial status. Through credit monitoring services and public records, I discovered $52,400 in credit card debt across 7 different cards, $8,200 behind on her BMW lease payments, 2 previous evictions in the past 5 years, for non-payment of rent, student loan debt of $67,000 for a degree in communications from a third-tier state school based on her bank routing numbers from checks she'd written, which I could cross-reference. Her checking account was basically empty employment history, public records, and LinkedIn. Cross-referencing revealed marketing coordinator at Summit Marketing Current, actually a receptionist making $36,000 per year, fired from previous job at a real estate firm for attendance issues, fired from job before that for misrepresenting qualifications, average job tenure 9 months, legal issues. Court records showed DUI from April 2019 that she'd somehow kept hidden from Jacob, 4 unpaid parking tickets totaling $380, small claims court judgment against her for $2,100, unpaid furniture lease, social media analysis. This is where it got really interesting. I spent hours going through every social media post Brianna had made in the past year, and it painted a picture of someone living a completely fabricated lifestyle. Instagram posts about my beautiful kitchen, my kitchen that I'd paid $28,000 to renovate, Sunday dinner in our dining room, again my dining room, relaxing in our gorgeous backyard, my backyard that I paid to landscape. But the best part, posts about being a marketing executive and building her brand, accompanied by photos of expensive meals, designer purses, and luxury vacations that she clearly couldn't afford on her actual salary. She'd been using my house, my family, and her credit cards to fake a lifestyle for social media. The level of delusion was staggering. The most damaging discovery came from some basic social engineering. I created a fake Facebook profile as a concerned friend and reached out to her sister asking if she'd heard about Brianna's housing situation. The sister, thinking I was someone from Brianna's social circle, spilled everything. Brianna had been planning to kick me out for months. She'd actually researched tenant rights laws, consulted with a lawyer about adverse possession, and had been building a case that she and Jacob were the real occupants of the house. Her plan was to claim that Victor and Carmen were the original tenants, that Jacob had inherited the tenancy when he moved in, and that I was just a long-term guest with no legal rights. She'd even researched how to establish homestead rights in our state. The lockout wasn't an emotional response to our dinner argument. It was phase 1 of a premeditated plan to steal my house. Armed with this information, I called Jacob. We need to talk in person. He showed up at my office coffee shop the next evening looking like he hadn't slept in 48 hours. Good. Joseph, man, I'm so sorry about the locks. Brianna was emotional. She wasn't thinking clearly. Shut up and sit down. Islita Manila. Folder across the table. Your wife has been planning this for months. Jacob's face went white as he flipped through the printouts I'd compiled. I watched him discover that his wife was drowning in debt, had lied about her job, had a DUI conviction, and was essentially bankrupt. "This can't be right," he whispered. She told me she made $55,000. She said her credit was excellent. "Your wife has been lying to you about literally everything I said. Her job, her income, her debts, her criminal record. She's been using my house as a prop for social media while planning to steal it from me." I let him absorb that for a minute before dropping the real bomb. "She's been researching adverse possession laws, Jacob. She consulted with a lawyer about how to claim legal ownership of my house. The lockout wasn't emotional. It was calculated." Jacob looked like he was going to throw up. "Oh God, Joseph, I had no idea. I swear to you, I had no idea about any of this." "I believe you," I said, and I meant it. Jacob was many things, but he wasn't a schemer. But here's the thing. You chose her side over family without knowing any of the facts. You defended her when she attacked me, and you backed her to kick me out. No, I screwed up. I was trying to keep the peace, and you chose to screw over the family. I cut him off. I pulled out a second folder. "Here's what's going to happen. You and your lying, thieving wife have 30 days to find your own place. I'll help with moving expenses because I love Uncle Victor and Aunt Carmen, but you're done living in my house." Jacob stared at the eviction notice, eyed prepared. "Joseph, please. She's pregnant. We don't have any money saved up. Maybe you should have thought about that before. Your wife decided to declare war on me. What if I talk to her? What if she apologizes? We could work something out." I leaned back in my chair and gave him a look that made him stop talking. "Your wife tried to steal my house, lied to police about me being inappropriate, and threatened to destroy my reputation and career. There is no working anything out. There is no going back to normal. She declared war, and now she gets to deal with the consequences." He left looking like a broken man. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. 3 days later, Jacob called. His voice was hollow, defeated. "Joseph, we'll move out. Brianna's agreed to find an apartment. Just please don't destroy her completely. She's carrying my kid. Smart choice." I said you have 30 days, but I wasn't done with Princess Brianna yet. Not by a long shot. See, the thing about people who live fake lives is that their entire existence depends on maintaining the illusion. Take away the props, expose the lies, and the whole house of cards comes crashing down. Brianna had spent 3 years using my house, my family, and my generosity to build a fake lifestyle that impressed her friends and followers. Time to show everyone who she really was. Phase 1, social media exposure. I waited until Jacob and Brianna had found their apartment and started moving their stuff. Then I struck. Remember all those Instagram posts about her beautiful home? I'd screenshot every single one over the past year. Made a nice little collage with timestamps and captions showing her claiming ownership of my house, my kitchen, my backyard, my furniture. I posted it to our local Facebook community group with a detailed explanation. PSA for anyone who knows. Brianna Walsh. This woman has been posting pictures of my house on social media for the past 3 years, claiming it's hers while living there rent-free as a guest. She recently tried to steal the property by changing the locks while I was at work and threatening to lie to the police about me. She's since been evicted by law enforcement. Just wanted to make sure everyone knows who they're dealing with. The post went viral in our small town. Within hours, over 280 comments, 140 shares, and most of them were from people who knew Brianna personally, her coworkers, college friends, distant relatives. They were all roasting her for the fake lifestyle posts. People she tried to impress for years were suddenly seeing her for what she really was, a fraud. Phase 2, professional consequences. Brianna worked at Summit Marketing, a small marketing firm that prided itself on authentic brand representation and honest client relationships. Their Company website had a whole section about integrity and trust. I sent an anonymous email to their HR department with screenshots of Brianna's social media posts, her employment and financial records I'd found, and a detailed explanation of how she'd been misrepresenting her job title, income, and lifestyle online. They fired her within 48 hours. Phase 3, financial consequences. Her BMW getting repossessed was just a matter of time. She was already months behind on payments, but I decided to accelerate the timeline. I anonymously tipped off the leasing company about her job loss and provided them with her new apartment address. They repossessed the car from the apartment complex parking lot on a Tuesday morning, right in front of all her new neighbors. The results: within 6 weeks of the lockout incident, Brianna had lost her job, her car, her fake social media lifestyle, most of her friends and social circle. She went from being a fake marketing executive living in a beautiful house to being an unemployed pregnant woman living in a studio apartment on the wrong side of town. Jacob tried calling me once during this period, begging me to stop. She's learned her lesson, Joseph. This is too much. She tried to steal my house and destroy my reputation. I replied. She made her choice when she declared war. Now she gets to live with the consequences. But the baby should have thought about the baby before she decided to commit multiple felonies. The beautiful thing about the whole operation was that I never had to lie, exaggerate, or make anything up. Every piece of information I shared was completely factual and verifiable. 6 months after everything went to hell, I thought the Brianna chapter of my life was finally closed. She was living in a shitty studio apartment, working part-time at a call center, and dealing with the consequences of her choices. Jacob was grinding 2 jobs to support them and looked like he'd aged a decade. I felt bad for him, but hey, choices have consequences. Then Jacob called me one afternoon, and his voice was different, not defeated, like it had been for months, angry, raw, like someone had just ripped his world apart all over again. Joseph, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Okay, did Brianna ever bring anyone home? When were we living together? My blood went cold. Jacob, what's going on? Just answer the damn question. Did she? I never saw anything concrete, but I paused thinking back. There were a few times she was out late and wouldn't say where she'd been. Long silence. Then I noticed the baby doesn't look like me. What do you mean it doesn't look like you? Oliver's 3 months old now, and he doesn't look like me at all. Not even a little bit. And Brianna's been acting weird about it. Gets defensive when people mention it. I could hear the pain in his voice. This poor bastard was connecting that he didn't want to connect. Jacob, babies change a lot. I got a DNA test, and it's not mine. The silence stretched between us. I could practically hear Jacob's world crashing down through the phone. Damn. I'm sorry, man. There's more, he said, his voice getting harder. I did some digging into her activities from when she was pregnant. Turns out our little princess was having an affair with her married boss at that marketing firm for 8 months. Jesus Christ, the guy from Summit Marketing. Yep, Trevor Mitchell, 43 years old, wife, and 3 kids. Brianna was screwing him in his office, after hours, and at hotels during her lunch breaks. The pregnancy happened right around the time they started sleeping together. The pieces started falling into place. That's why she was so eager to kick me out of the house. She wanted a place to bring him. Gets better. Jacob continued, his voice dripping with rage. Remember how she was always talking about her career advancement and how she was going to get promoted. Turns out she was blackmailing Mitchell, threatening to tell his wife about the affair unless he gave her raises and better positions. When you exposed her fake lifestyle and she got fired, Mitchell panicked and confessed everything to his wife to get ahead of it. His wife filed for divorce and took him for everything. This was better than anything I could have orchestrated myself. So, what are you going to do? I already filed for divorce. Her own lawyer told her she's screwed. And the house of cards comes tumbling down. I said the next few weeks were like watching a car crash in slow motion. Jacob's divorce went through without a hitch. Turns out when the kid isn't yours and your wife committed paternity fraud, the courts aren't very sympathetic to her situation. Brianna lost everything. Again, the apartment. Couldn't afford it without Jacob's income. The baby courts awarded temporary custody to Mitchell's ex-wife, since she was the only stable parental figure and what was left of her reputation. Hard to maintain even the pretense of dignity when everyone knows you committed paternity fraud. Mitchell's ex-wife, Rebecca, was apparently a saint who felt bad for the baby being caught in the middle of this mess. She agreed to let Jacob maintain a relationship with Oliver if he wanted, since he'd been the only father figure the kid had known. Jacob, being a better man than Brianna deserved, actually took her up on it. Last I heard, he was dating Rebecca's sister and helping raise all 4 kids. Mitchell's 3 plus Oliver turned out better for him than staying married to a lying, cheating fraud. As for Brianna, last I heard,